I think you should.
Test 1, 2.
Jesus, what kind of answer was that?
Sometimes it was so dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Rob, damn it.
Hello and welcome.
Everywhere you go, a song about, basically it was a ship that
Good.
sank.
Just a script call.
I don't know.
Well, that's Fitzgerald.
Leaving at 7:30.
Edmund,
Or
I
Edmund.
thought it
Or
was the
Gordon
director.
Lightfoot.
Yeah, Lake Michigan, yeah.
So
A load of iron ore.
Yeah, there was traffic.
They tried to cross and they,
Smyrna and
Lake
where I was
Ontario,
going.
so I
Somebody
do
was
think
thinking
of
was
the
behind.
vastness
And
when
then
I
I
grew
get
up
on
in Rochester,
65
New
and it was
York.
like game
how it can
traffic,
get-
right 2 lanes.
Like,
game.
what, you think it's
What
the
day?
ocean, just
Sometimes
when it's
it's game
really,
traffic,
really
that's
rough.
exactly
Yeah.
Yeah.
The waves are
Hello, hello.
shorter.
I don't even
Hi.
know
Great
what
Lakes
season
than
it
the
is.
ocean.
You're going to have to get a bigger room.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I'm going to get this sorted.
There's a different wavelength to it because it's, but they're like more treacherous in a certain
Well,
way.
I'll tell you, we were there.
I'll take them back.
No, you're good. You want me to get that one out of your way? Okay. Okay. What's your name?
My name is Glenna.
Glenna?
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Glenna.
Nice to meet you.
You're just sitting there waiting for the big boat.
Carla. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. There's, we can, there's another chair. Let me grab a couple more chairs, guys.
It's all beer and whatever.
Hi, if you're listening in, we are live streaming. We're getting started here in just a few minutes. Got to get a couple more people in the room. Bigger turnout than we expected. We got 1 or 2 more seats over there. You guys good? And I can put 2 more right here too. I got a table somewhere. What did I do with it?
Here we got some chairs. Should we try them out?
Yeah, I haven't tried them out yet. Yeah, bring one anyway. You guys okay? Okay. Let's do this. Is it okay if you move down? And who was here?
Right here?
Oh, she's going to leave in a minute, she said. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to give you this chair right here. You bet. All right. All right. You good? I think we're good. Okay, hello and welcome. We're going to get started here. And you guys just got to quit showing up, so many people. We didn't expect this many people, but I'm really grateful that you're here. My name's Tony Williamson, and but I go by Brother T. And so, just so you know, we're actually live streaming, and if we're successful at it, we'll be live streaming. Some of it's dead time, some of it we can edit a little bit, but there are people that are just listening in. So I'm really excited and honored that you guys are here tonight. So thank you so much for showing up. Spiritual alchemy. Let's just kind of start there. I didn't get a chance to meet everybody, so because we're live streaming, by the way, you don't have to share your name or any information about yourself, and none of you are actually being recorded. So if you ask a question, I might repeat it so that the people that are listening in can hear what your question is. So I want to start by asking you questions first and just see who's got whatever they want to share. And by the way, if you don't mind, I'll join in and kill my phone here and put it on silent for the next little bit. That's always a good move, right? Okay. Let's join together for just for a minute for a moment of silence. Let's take a good deep breath. Now, as we come to center, we come to that place within, which we truly could say is an altar, because it is this place within where we are not alone, but it is a place where we can literally get in touch with the truth of ourselves. And in this place, we can make a dedication tonight and make a claim and make a decree, and we can say that we will allow only that which expresses Christ consciousness, and only that which is in harmony with the purpose of being. In other words, the Father's will. We could say the Father's will, not mine, be done. And that brings up sometimes some resistance. But tonight we're going to try to unpack that a little bit. We're going to try to work together to see if we can begin to see things possibly in a new way. Because as we see things in a new way, we begin to let go of old ideas that have held us captive, that have held us prisoner, really, and have caused us angst and caused us insecurities, caused us doubt, caused us uncertainty. And those are outpictured in our life and reflect back to us. And those are some of the things we're going to discuss tonight. So for those of us here and those of us that might be listening in, I want to say thank you for being here. Let's take another good deep breath. And so we begin. So for a little housekeeping, there's a bathroom just right across the hallway right there. And then just down the hall, there's a couple more. There's a men's and a women's. But right across the hall, there's the nursery bathroom. If you want to use that, that's fine too. I really appreciate you guys being here. This is really our fourth night where we've been having these discussions. And some of you have been here for that, and I thank you for that. And some of you are new tonight that I haven't yet met, and I appreciate that too. So I want to start with a question for you. Last week we talked about Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ, that causes some issues, right? Jesus Christ. Yes, because we have some resistance to that, and there's a lot of uncertainty about, the way, at least the way I was conditioned through traditional teachings was, is this a personage that I'm supposed to worship, or is that even brings a bigger question: is God something or someone or some energy or some source or something that I'm supposed to worship?
Do you think Jesus wanted us to worship him?
I'll use two words in my response. Absolutely not. Okay? So let's back up a little bit. Good question. Because John was just asking the question, did Jesus want us to worship him? Let's go here. What about God? Would God want us to worship him?
I don't
Okay.
think so. Why
Okay.
does God need us to worship him?
Why would God need us to worship him? Right? Come on in. There's a place right over here just for you. Good question. So let's look at it. Let's bring it a little bit closer to home. Let's bring it a little closer to home. How about your parents? Do your parents, some of you might think that, right? But really, as a parent, would you want your child to worship you? Any answer? Maybe a little bit?
Just a little.
There might be a little bit of you that might want you to, but the true self of you, the self that's loving, let's be honest,
No.
I wouldn't want my child to worship me. What would I want my child to do? Give me their attention and love me. But if I'm giving them love, true love, which is unconditional love, we've all heard that term, right? Unconditional love. If I'm giving true love, extending true love, there's a couple of criteria that we can kind of help identify when we're in that energy, in that frequency, if I can use that term, right? And that is that true love is given defenselessly. That's a big one. Defenselessly, without any expectation of return. Now that in and of itself, if we use that definition, precludes any idea that I would want to be worshiped for the extension of love. And parents love to love, right? They love to love their children. If we can get our head around that a little bit, we can begin to see that God never would require us to worship this creator that is our father or our mother. If you want to say mother, father, God in some circles, we try to take the sexuality out of it, right? The duality out of it. And ultimately what we do on this curriculum, if I can use that, through this transformation, we move from an experience of duality to semi-non-duality, to non-duality, and ultimately to pure non-duality. Now this is extremely high level of consciousness or a high level of vibration. And I don't like my little thing here, so I'm going to slide it down a little bit. But let's look at everything kind of as a frequency, right? And we're just going to use basically 4 patterns. And we could say, this is another frequency, a higher level. And here's another frequency level. And then we might have one here. The highest level is almost a flat line, if you will, because you see the difference in each frequency. No, I'm not an artist. You got that figured out, right? So this is the vibration of the world. And we could label this as the vibration of fear. And in fear, if I have a wrong-minded idea of my Creator, of love itself, or of God, then I might actually convince myself or other people to agree with me out of fear that I need to worship something. Because here, this is a consciousness of victimization. This is the consciousness of the world, primarily. I'll say primarily, I'll say 78%. 78% is in this consciousness, victim consciousness. And here, if I'm a victim, then it's not my fault. It's happening out there. I have no control of it whatsoever. And we don't have to turn too far to turn on the news or any other medium. And this is pretty much the language that we're exposed to all the time, right? But once we step out of this consciousness and just even make a small step and begin to question that thinking, because this is a thought system. It's a thought system of duality. Then we move to a thought system of semi-non-duality. Here it still seems like maybe there's something happening to us, but we're beginning to recognize that, wait a minute, who's the person that's always central in everything that does happen to us, or appears to happen to us, right? It's me, or can I say you, right? So in semi-non-duality, we're beginning then to take responsibility. So here's a big word that, or phrase. Thoughts are things. As soon as we begin to accept this, thoughts are things, down here it's happening to me. As soon as I begin to accept the reality, and yes, I'm saying reality because as we move up, we begin to experience a verification, validation of these thoughts, this thought system. We're moving into a new thought system. We're moving into non-duality. Ultimately, pure non-duality. But here, we begin to recognize thoughts are things. So, what's really happening is the world is reflecting our thoughts. And as an aggregate of people in this space right now, we're having an impact on the world around us. We may not see it. It's really invisible in that sense. It's the non-visible reality. And yes, it is a non-visible reality. But nonetheless, our energy, our vibration affects everything around us. You don't have to go too far to walk into a space where people are loving and genuinely caring, and you feel it. You feel that energy. It's a frequency. It's recognizable. It's called love. It's called acceptance. It's called principle. It has some names that we can hook onto and identify with. But if this phrase right here, thoughts are things, if we can really take that to heart, we begin to realize that we were created in likeness with our Creator, right? And just like we don't need to be worshipped by our children, in this likeness of this Creator, we are also creators. And in the beginning, as the Bible refers to it, and I'll mess it up every time, so don't hold me to quoting the Bible exactly, right? But in the beginning, there was Word. There was the Word. We've all heard that phrase, right? What is the Word? A thought being expressed, right? In the beginning, there was Word.
Where do thoughts come from?
Well, it depends on whose will we're referring to. Are we referring to the thoughts of God, the Creator?
I don't know if he thinks.
Good question, or good point, right? Thoughts are really, the way we're thinking them, or the way we experience them, are really kind of a construct. And you're getting way up in here now, okay? So I'll share for the benefit of the, that's what it's called. So for the benefit of, for the benefit of those who might be discussing this for the first time, I'll throw a couple of curveballs at you, and so don't let them disturb you, okay? Just take it home, and I'll say this too, don't believe anything I say. Find out for yourself, okay? Find out for yourself. Test everything. Test everything. You were not created to be a thinker. Let me think about that. Okay? You're not created to be a thinker. But when you played the game, and that's what this is, and I'm going to call it the game of separation, there was a void. When we separate ourselves from the will of God, if you will, the thoughts of love that would be thoughts of God, right? We can try to identify it that way, John, but the bottom line is we're really talking about vibration. We're talking about frequency.
Right. Well, maybe this thought came from the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where we started to think when we weren't supposed to.
Oh, I love that you say that, because that's really, you're kind of segueing into what I really want to talk about tonight. But it's really called, the discussion tonight I want to bring is called In the Beginning. Okay? And so again, I want to pose a question to you, and it's very difficult for me to stay on task here because there's a whole lot, right? You ever been to a sales presentation, and instead of just sitting back and letting the person present what they have to you, you've done a little homework and you've kind of figured out a little bit about what they're going to share with you. And so instead of wanting to listen, you just wanted your questions answered. And so you just pick and choose. And next thing you know, all the time is gone. And then later, later when you say no, you don't buy or whatever. Later on, you think, wait a minute, if I'd have known all these things. And so the person is pretty frustrating. Anybody who's in sales, you know it's pretty frustrating if that might happen to you, because you didn't really get to. Because we want to pick and choose our spirituality. We really don't want the whole presentation. We just want what we like. And if we don't like this, we just set it aside. If we don't like that, we set it aside. And so this is what we do. This self called the ego, and this is kind of the playground of we call the ego, but it's really a very poor servant of you. And it's really kind of the personality that we've created for ourselves, to identify that we've identified ourselves. And in this game that we're playing called the game of separation, this ego self is really the thinker of those thoughts. It's really the self that is creating the experience that we're having, defining everything that we experience. We're giving, let me put it this way, you're giving everything all the meaning that it has, right? And as we move into a connection, if I can use that term, with our higher self, and we've always had it out there, remember? Because in duality, it's out there. God is out there. God's in the heaven. God's in the stars, whatever. But as we begin to move towards non-duality, pure non-duality, I can define for you in 2 words, God is. There is nothing else. So if you think that's a table that you're leaning on, think again. That's God. If you think that's a chair that you're sitting in, think again. That's God. Or here's some better advice. Don't think. Because the thinking about it is what keeps you from experiencing what it is. It's a double-edged sword. The more we try to figure it out, and the more intent we are in that effort, intention, the more difficult we make it for us to experience what non-duality is, what real connection is, what real oneness is. I mean, yes, you can experience it because it is a part of you. It is where you began, going back to where John started, and if we want to use the term of the Garden of Eden, in the beginning. In the beginning. So, question?
Sorry, to not think.
That's hard.
Maybe, does a baby not think? An infant?
Actually,
How would you not think?
that's a great question. How would you not think was the question. How about if you just do this? How about if we just take a good deep breath for a moment and we become aware of the space? Let's all take a good deep breath. Now look around the room without judgment. To really be aware of something is to take it in without thinking about it, without judging it. And of course, I know you look at this purple bottle and you say, oh, that's a bottle. How do you know it's a bottle? Because you're reflecting in the past. You're going back into the past and grabbing something from the past, and you immediately label it, identify it, judge it, whatever you might want to do with it. That's the thinking self. But that's really not who and what you are. And so I hear people say, oh, that meditation stuff people talk about, I can't do that. I just get anxious, and it's really difficult for me to meditate and so forth and so on. And I get that. But it's worth persisting in it, because really what you're doing is like when you are tuned into the radio in your car, you can't just get it to stop, but you can switch channels and tune into something else. Does that make sense? And that's really what your choice is. You have the choice to listen to a different voice. In other words, you have the choice to experience a different vibration, a different reality. And I like to use dreaming as an example because it helps us to kind of get our head around it. But when you dream at night, the small self that's dreaming, I don't have any erasers.
There you go.
You got something? Yeah, that'll work. I'll try it.
Dry erase.
This is our new dry erase. Okay. Oh, that's cool. By the way, you guys, you gotta, if you remember to do it, in fact, let's do it right now. Everybody give Rob an applause, because he's the one that provided the chairs, the tables, and the dry erase boards for us this week. Everything but the eraser. Okay.
See, that's always good.
Okay, so I like to do things graphically because it just helps me explain. Okay, so let's say that this is the sleeping self. This little sliver of yourself. Every night you go to sleep, and where are you when you're sleeping? No. No, the sleeping self has no idea that you're in bed. It's completely unaware of where you are physically.
You're out of the body somewhere, aren't you?
Do you feel, in your, maybe I'm different, but when I'm dreaming, I still have a body. I can still have sex, I can do whatever. I can do anything, really. But I'm still in a body. I still identify as a body, right? So let's say that this is the sleeping self, but it's just a little part of you because it's completely unaware that you, the you that's here tonight, is peering in and completely knows where you are. And not only does it know where you are, when you wake up you realize, oh, I'm safe at home in bed. It was along for the ride all night long with the dreaming self. So it's really the bigger self, because the sleeping self is completely unaware of what you were going to do today, where you were going to go, who you were going to be. It's not even conscious of who you're sleeping with. It's completely unaware that you're safe at home in bed. So we can create a dreamscape, if I can use that term, of a reality. Yes, it's real to you because you're experiencing it. And then while you're sleeping, you're experiencing it as very, very real. In fact, it's so real that there's not one here that hasn't had horrible nightmares. We've all had horrible nightmares. We've also had some great dreams. You know, I've had experiences of flying and doing some really fun things in the state of mind of dreaming. Yes. But in truth, it's just illusion. Because I'm not really in a body in that state of consciousness, even though I think I am. Because when I wake up, what happens to that body? I realize it was just a dream. It's not real. Okay?
So what is dreaming? Dreaming is, what is dreaming?
It's creating a reality out of nothing. Out of thoughts. Creating a reality out of thoughts. Thoughts of your past. When you bump into a bottle in your dream, you know it's a bottle. When you bump into a person in your dream, it looks like that's them. It could even be someone that's passed away. I've had dreams of my dad. He's not dead in my dreams. He's hanging out with me. Right? But when I wake up, what is it? It's just illusion. It's just thoughts that are played out, outpictured in an experience that is so vivid. It really is my reality for that short period of time. But the bigger self, the higher self, this self, okay, this self right here, this will be fun. I'll just say that's the sleeping self, okay, which can be happy or sad, right? But this self here, this is the bigger you, right? So this is really the sleeping self is contained, if you will, inside you, the personality self.
Yeah, Esther Hicks said dreams were residuals left over from the daily events.
Could be, but it's really the thoughts that are left over from the daily events. And whatever, and make no mistake, if you're having a really shitty day, did I say that? Yes, I did. If you're having a really shitty day, you could have nightmares that night. If you're having trauma in your life, you could have nightmares, right? If things are going good, you could have some really angelic dreams. So this self is totally unaware of the sleeping self, okay? Totally unaware of the sleeping self. And so dreams are then something that you experience on a regular basis. So we've all heard the term Holy Spirit, but we'll look at the Holy Spirit as another step. The Holy Spirit then, if we could circumscribe any of these concepts of mind and the self of mind, the dreaming self is contained within the awakened self, physical self, and the physical self is really contained within the Holy Spirit.
What is the Holy Spirit?
Well, what is this? What is this self? This is a mind that can have illusions, but it's just a part, this is just a part of this mind, and guess what? This is just a part of this mind. And then if we could just for visual, for visual purposes, just to, help us grasp this, imagine we could circumscribe God. Mind within mind within mind within
Well, would the
mind.
Holy Spirit be God, though? Would that be?
No, it's you. It's your individuation. It's your higher self. It is
Okay, higher
this
self
is
I can handle.
so-
The Holy Spirit I couldn't quite.
right. But so let's just look. Instead, whenever you hear Holy Spirit, what helps me is to just see that the Holy Spirit is nothing more than my true self, my real self. Okay. So it's mind, small mind within true self, higher self, within God. You see where we've gone? We've gone from duality here to semi-non-duality to pure non-duality. So that then really suggests that the personality self, and I defined it earlier as ego, not only this self doesn't know it's safe at home in bed, this ego self that we make up, the world and the world self, completely unaware that you are safe at home in heaven. When? Right now. You've never left. The sleeping self here never leaves the bed. I mean, it never leaves the mind of the ego self. The ego self is safe at home in bed. It knows exactly where it's at. When it wakes up, boom. And when you wake up to your true self, your higher self, the ego collapses and you realize you're safe at home. You've been safe at home in heaven the whole time. You never left heaven. It's just an illusion. This is an illusion. This is illusion. It's illusion of separation. Because in our little bubble here, we've circumscribed ourselves and confined ourselves to our own, there's that word again, thoughts. And so it's a game of separation. And the game is, and you absolutely committed to it, how do I know? Because you're here, right? You're here. So if you could imagine a gigantic diamond the size of our Earth with billions and billions and billions of facets on it. Each one of us, each one of these personalities, these persons would be a facet on the diamond. And so we're always looking out, defining our world by the conditions outside or the conditions of the body. Even when we're dreaming at night, we define ourselves through how we see ourselves as body. This is the symbology of separation, right? This is the game of separation. And here's the problem. or maybe the blessing. The small self doesn't know that you're safe and home in bed. Is that a problem for you? Do you really care? Is it really causing the small self a lot of angst and trouble? That is completely unaware of you, the real you, that's married or not married, or sleeping with somebody or not with somebody, and goes to work or doesn't go to work today when you got up, and knows what's going on all day long in advance, has a pretty good idea of how your day is going to be, where you're going to be, that you woke up in Nashville, in Tennessee, where someplace in the world. All of those thoughts, all of this identity is completely gone and lost to this because it's just a sliver of intelligence. It's just a sliver of mind. Now, this also is just a sliver of intelligence. That's why I said earlier, it's a poor servant. Because if you get in touch with this higher self, and I would like to say that this is the ego and this is the higher self, because there is a vast mind that is you that is not asleep. It's not asleep. And that's the whole purpose of the spiritual journey, if I can use that term, spiritual journey, to wake up to the realization of self. This is your true individuated self as created by God, a facet on that glorious, beautiful diamond. So, you're on this facet on this diamond, and you want to get in touch with somebody on the other side of the world. You got to go through all these billions of people to get there. It's a pretty long journey. But if you could imagine this to be our diamond, really, if you would, instead of looking out, would simply look in, just go to the center, and everything is available to you at the very center of your being. That's why you're always hearing people on spiritual journey and talking about turn within. Right? Block out the outside world. When I meditate, I use earplugs. Then I can really hear my thoughts really good. I can change the channel. I can't, as long as I'm tuned in to the channel, I'm going to hear the thoughts, hear the thoughts, hear the thoughts, hear the thoughts. And those are thoughts of fear. Because this is a thought system that identifies this self, this ego self. All of its thoughts. It's like putting on a pair of glasses with a particular color. Everything's colored. Thank you, darling, for coming tonight. Talk to you soon. All of our experiences are colored if we're seeing the world through this, looking outward through this mind. Everything's fearful. I'm not afraid. I hear people say that all the time. I say, bullshit. If you're not, you take all your clothes off and run down the street and see how that works for you. We're afraid. We don't even like to leave the house without our driver's license. Why? Well, you might get pulled over. I need to take precaution. Anybody got a life insurance policy? I'm not saying cancel your life insurance policy. It makes you feel comfortable. Keep it. Even though you won't be the one participating in it if you ever execute it. It's a setup. It's a game. And there's nothing happening to the sleeping self at night because in reality, you wake up and you realize dreams, here's the phrase, have no effect. We can analyze them, we can do all kinds of things, thinking about how important they are or not important they are. Oh, was that a past life experience or not? I mean, it doesn't matter. What's really going on is what's happening right now. Now. Because this is the moment that you can make a choice between fear and the only other option you'll ever have. Is to step outside this boundary of separation that you've created for yourself, and you and I are participating in this game, into this area of truth about who you are, what you are. And this is the mind of love. This is the mind of God. And so when you hear phrases or passages about the voice of God, the Holy Spirit was the voice of God, etc., it's just there's no separation there. God, so then we could define God very simply as love. Very simply as love. So imagine trying to get the sleeping self at night to keep up with how complicated your life is right now. You can take a little bit of those ideas into your dreaming state, but it just tosses them away, and it creates its own little drama. It really doesn't give a crap about your mortgage payment. It doesn't. It doesn't care about your car payment. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. It makes up its own problems. It loves its problems. And all night long you spend all your time fixing those damn problems. And then you wake up and go, whew, that wasn't a real problem after all. It was just illusion. Right? No problem. Dreams have no effect. And that's the same thing that happens on the spiritual journey. When you wake up to the truth that you really don't have any problems at all because you return to your true self. Right? Again, the problem is that the small sleeping self could not actually begin to cognize and understand the context of your complicated life. It's really too complicated for it. And the truth is then this self that we believe ourselves to be, this ego personality self, all of this stuff, all this God stuff, is way too complicated for that mind. It can't truly grasp the truth of what we are. It tries to figure it out. It tries to work on it. It tries to understand it. It actually convinces us, and our society jumps right in and says, you're not worthy. You did this, you did that. Wait a minute, we said dreams have no effect.
Well, I think religions did that to us, Tony, through the ages.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how we became conditioned.
It is, and I wish you hadn't done that, John.
Sorry, my inner self was...
Because you were there. Because you were there all along. So we can't ever really go, see, as soon as we say, something happened to me, you see where I'm going?
No,
As soon as we say that, we just brought ourselves back down to this lower energy.
Well, you said society conditioned us, and then it made me think of how
It's
did
true.
society conditioned us.
Yes.
And I thought it was religions that did it mainly because religions were, for the last 2,000 years, there's been religion.
Well, for as long as we know,
Well,
right?
That's as far back as I could go. And then it was based on fear mostly, heaven and hell, and so I think where we are today as a society, we were conditioned, but we're working out of it. I mean, I know what you're saying about the victim part of it. I mean, I'm not going to blame religion for who I am. Maybe I should, though. So I'm done.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
The only thing I want to, well, and that was very good dissertation. But what I want to say, and just to add that, is that we are all complicit. Every one of us here. Because you've already been everywhere and never when. It's very likely that every one of you that are in this class tonight is at a very high level of awareness, or you wouldn't be here. There are no accidents. There's absolutely no accidents. You're the creator. You're the creator of your experience. And you've chosen to be here tonight with some intention that you want to know more about yourself. And you may find tremendous resistance to what I'm sharing with you tonight. And that's okay. You may never come back. That's okay. It's not about me. But this teaching is being told now, and it is expanding very rapidly because the truth is true. It doesn't change. It doesn't change up on you. The truth never, ever shifts or changes on you. Only people's perceptions of it and their clarity of it can confuse us, and so we can get sidetracked into other things, right? We can think that if we spend enough time meditating or if we do enough good in the world that we're going to be rewarded. That's victim consciousness. That's something outside of you has control of you. And I'm here to tell you, take your power back. That's why Jesus came to express his teaching with us. That's all he ever truly taught. It was intentionally contaminated catastrophically by people who wanted to be in power, by people who were operating out of this place, this small mind. But what Jesus was communicating with us was from this mind of love. He was the love master, right? The Prince of Love. And so we made up all these, because, and here's another analogy that I'll use. Okay, so how many people have been able to teach your cat to drive your car? Why not? How about scooping its own poop? We'll just start there. Right? No? Why? Because it's contextually outside of its ability to comprehend. Not only does it not have that fifth finger, to grasp things with, but it contextually, you can tell it about your car engine until you're blue in the face. You can tell it why you're giving it the shrimp tonight instead of the tuna. But it has no clue. Because contextually, it's beyond its concept contextual ability to understand. Just like the sleeping self is beyond its ability to understand your real life here as a physical human person that you're pretending to be. Yes, I said you're pretending to be human. This person, human self, this little ego self, is just that. It's just a little toy. It's just almost nothing. It's so poorly, it's such a poor intellectual representation of what you really are. This huge, magnanimous being of grandeur.
So we just come here just for the hell of it?
Ah,
For the hell of it, that's
right. Well,
What about the heaven of it?
Yeah. But here,
well, that's a good question. So the question was asked, do we just come here for the hell of it? No, we come here for the love of it. Because we, like children do, said, what would it be like to pretend to be God? And you and I got into an agreement one night and said, I don't know, but I'll go if you go, right? That's the story of Adam and Eve, going back to the Garden of Eden, right? The story is, can we create? Yes, we're offspring of the Creator, right? So imagine yourself as this omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient being. You've never experienced fear. There's no concept of fear. You are, in all essence, simply the awareness of love itself. No fear, no guilt, no doubt, no uncertainty, none of those things. And you and I are having a little game playing together as children do and say, hey, let's pretend to be God. What'd that be like? I don't know. Let's think about it. Let's pretend. Can we create an experience of separation so that we could play like that we could pretend like that? And welcome to your dream. Yes, you're here playing out this game of separation. But we really challenged ourselves and said, what would it be to experience that? And then we set up the rules, which are, you're going to wipe the slate clean, so you really erase the whole board if we had a good eraser, right?
right.
And we start with a clean slate. People say, why do we have a clean, why can't we remember? If you have trouble in this life dealing with all the shit that you've already done and you feel guilty about anything whatsoever, imagine the guilt that you would have to deal with if you could remember all your past lives. When you killed people, murdered people, raped people, harmed babies. Oh my goodness, the worst sin of all. All the things that we ever look back in our history that man has done to man, you were there. Oh, that sounds blasphemous. You mean it's not one and done? I guarantee you it's not one and done. You're still here. And you participated in all that. But now you're going, hey, I want to get out of it. I want to wake up. I want to come from a different angle. I want to really begin to achieve the ultimate expression of love, which is to wake up and remember our true self.
So you think that's why we don't remember past lives?
I believe that's a very... I think that's a blessing. I think that is a point of grace that we don't remember our past lives for the fact that we are so guilt-ridden. If we judge anybody, we judge ourselves harsher than anything.
Right. No, you're
Right?
right. But it's even hard to remember what I had for breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, but you remember if you hurt somebody.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
And you also remember if you think somebody hurt you,
Right.
because it's their damn fault, and then so you get back in that victim energy. I'm going to kick their ass or whatever I need to do. Right? But if you don't go back to sleep tonight to fix and get even with the people that screwed you over in the dreams you had last night, do you? And when you get in there, are they there? No. It's like a new life. Every night you have a brand new sleeping self. It's completely forgotten all the former dreams. It's not conscious. See, everything you're experiencing is symbolism of what's really going on all the time. And this is just a peer into what's really happening. Whether we can grasp it all or not is a good question.
Well, I'd like to go back to reincarnation. Some religions believe that animals are reincarnated and eventually they become a human, or vice versa. So your cat thing, maybe the cat knows it's a cat. It says, I'm a cat, and I just want to be a cat, and I'm going to be a cat. So you can't, I can't drive the car because I'm a cat. That's why I'm here to learn to be a cat.
Can you teach a cat to be a cat?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it can.
Why not? Because it innately knows what it is. It innately knows how it's expressing itself.
Right.
You, on the other hand, oh, we could really open up a big can of worms, okay? And I'm really hesitant to put this out there, okay? But look up the idea of Lemurians. What is Lemurians? Lemurians, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It was one of the first societies on the planet that nobody even knows existed for the most part. But it was the first iteration. It was the first iteration of the conscious human, in the sense that we began to. That was the first iteration of being human, where we began to evolve, and we're still on that track now. Okay, which separates us from the animal kingdom. We were in human form, but pretty much like the animal kingdom, or like the animal kingdom, living basically on instinct. But then there was that was around the time of the first civilization, where there became to be a knowing of our spiritual path. Yeah.
Right, I've heard that before.
So,
That goes back about 100,000 years ago.
So how does anyone know about Lemurians?
Oh, that's the hard part. See, now you got to get past another point of resistance. The point of resistance being, could we breach the veil?
Were there writings or people through meditation?
Right, we're looking for validation here, right? But I just want to say this, and thanks for the question. It's a great question. Because we have raised our consciousness substantially in the near term, in the last 50, 60 years or more, we have lifted the veil. So if imagine this wall is this big veil separating us from the non-physical, right? And all of the infinity of beings that have been created. We only look at the diamond and the facets on the diamond, but imagine that being expanded now well beyond that. And all of the creations of God, which would be all of us as individuations of an extension of love. I know this is difficult. Remember, we're trying to get the cat to drive the car. Okay, so don't beat yourself up, and me either, if we can't quite grasp this. Okay, that's okay. We're just trying to get our head around a little bit so that we can let it go. Let it go. So what we've done is kind of raised the wall was the veil, and we begin to raise it a little bit. So there's a little bit of communication coming through, of truth, from here, from love. There's a little bit of communication coming through. One of the most impressive for me and influential for me was Buddha 2,600 years ago, when he experienced enlightenment. But he didn't bring the connection with God's self into that communication. But it was one of the purest communications and teachings that we know of, simply because he traveled around for about 40 years teaching it himself after he had that experience of enlightenment. And then Jesus came, and Jesus had a full-on experience, if you will, of awakening to the higher self, the true self. He said, when you see me, you see the Father. He became the voice of God. And that's the ego self just collapsed.
So is he not born that way?
Well, he was born in form, human form, just like you are.
Right.
Right?
But did he always, I mean, my question is, was he always in?
No, he experienced full-on enlightenment when John the Baptist baptized him. We came up out of the water, it's like, whoa, bam, it's almost like the top of his head blew off, and he stumbled off into the woods for weeks. And when he finally came out of the woods, where are you getting all this shit, Tony? When he finally came out of the woods, he couldn't even go to see his wife. Well, yes, he was married, and his wife was Mary, and he didn't go home because he was so haggled, and he almost died. He didn't try to take care of himself. He was having this experience of this inrush of wisdom, this inrush of his higher self, this mind, this all-knowing. There's no understanding, there's no getting or grasping, there's only the knowing of self. We can't grasp it, you see. This mind can't grasp it. So imagine the physical mind literally opening up to this kind of inrush of intelligence, wisdom, purpose, and love. And so he went to see his mom, and she kind of cleaned him up, and then he went home to Mary after that.
Wait, he was married?
Yes, he was married to Mary Magdalene.
Where?
And they had two
Where
boys.
Did it say that?
Well, it doesn't say that because it's all been, let me wipe this slate clean. We can't,
That's why Jesus didn't write
we can't, one of the reasons,
He took it out.
That's it. He took the page out, right?
How can I get you to believe that you need me to be your intermediary if you believe that Jesus was just like you? My God, you got to have me, and you got to put a little money in the tray every Sunday so that I can teach you and be the intermediary so you can come and keep me in power. I got to wipe this. Can't tell you what Jesus was really like. Let's wipe the slate clean. How can we make this up? Oh, he was a God. Oh, yeah, he was a God, and he got in touch with me, and you got to go worship his ass because I'm going to teach you how to do it. So this will work. We can stay in power this way. You see, you were up against the church. Very powerful institution at that time.
Still is.
Yeah,
Still is. Another reason, it was a very dangerous time. I know that there's a lot of idea that, and it's true, yes, the disciples were disciples of the teachings of Jesus, no doubt. But they are also bodyguards. Because this was a very dangerous time. And his message needed to be out there. He surrounded himself with people that were there to help protect him until he became fully enlightened, and then he realized his demonstration was to teach the truth that there's nothing to be afraid of. So on the night before the crucifixion, Peter drew his sword and he said, put your sword away. I can't be crucified. I can't truly be persecuted. That's illusion. He realized, as Buddha said when he had an experience of enlightenment, I am the dreamer of the dream. You are dreaming a dream of separation. You're manifesting your experience because you're the creator. You start taking your power back, oh my God, what can you do? Anything. As long as you're aligned with your true power, which is being the expression of love. As the expression of love, when you get in touch with this self, it begins to feed you with desires of being this expression in this experience and helping other people to wake up to the reality of what they are. And that's why I'm standing with you tonight. I'm standing here with you tonight because I am experiencing so much of this, I can't not talk about it. It's the truth. But don't believe me. Start being more loving. Start being more joyful. Start being more allowing. Start being more non-judgmental. Start accepting and allowing people to be exactly who they are, as they are, where they are, doing what they're doing. Because they have a right to be here. You have a responsibility to yourself, not to them, but to yourself, to recognize the godness in them. Because if you'll start recognizing the godness in your brothers and sisters, you'll finally begin to realize it's possible that it's also you. Because anytime you're damning anybody, you're only damning yourself. The world is your reflection. Anytime you're loving anybody, you're really only loving yourself. Because the world is your reflection. So as we get into this concept and we begin to understand how powerful your mind is, then we start fine-tuning it so that we begin to realize when we are out of alignment and causing ourselves experiences of lack and sickness and sin and guilt and shame and anger and depression and anxiety and death. Jesus said the number one killer is not cancer, it's not heart disease, it's self-righteousness. Believing you know. Because the truth is, this little sleeping self doesn't know shit. It knows nothing. It's made up a world out of whole cloth, out of absolutely nothing, and separated itself from what it really is. And believes itself to be powerful in that separation. Let's take a good deep breath. Wow. Feel that energy. So, 1 and the 2 and the 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 1 and the 2. So 1, say to the 2, turn your chairs and look at this person beside you.
The 1 to the 2? Oh.
And you and I are gonna play together. Okay, so the 1s, I'll be the 1 and you be the 2. Okay, make it. So the 1s looked at the 2 and just simply repeat after me. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. Word, I am Word. And the 2s to the 1. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. Word, I am Word. You feel this, yes? This is an attunement to a higher energy. This is saying word, and some of us in our first couple of classes began to define the word. What does word mean? Somebody help me out. What is word? What's our definition for word? The energy of the Creator in action. When you say word, I am word, you're saying I am the Creator in action. You are expressing an energy. You are creating and holding a higher vibration, or a high vibration, very high vibration. I won't say higher. Maybe you're already there all the time. I don't know you, right? You may be the God self awakened now in this moment. And I want to hang out with you as much as I can, right? It's time to party. There's a lot of love to be had, a lot of love to know, a lot of love to experience. So when you say word, I am word, you're saying I am the action of love. I am the expression of love in action. Okay? And when you look at your brother and sister and you're looking at this person, you're simply saying, I know who you are as Christ. Don't let this word, Christ consciousness is a vibration. It's this energy here. This is, you're elevating your consciousness, your frequency, your vibration to this very, 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 very high level. You're tuning in and making a channel of yourself to allow this energy to come through. And as you look at this person without judgment, love, defenselessly, with no expectation of return, you're just simply looking at them and going, wait a minute, I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. Because you're my brother and sister, you are Christ. And I want to say, forgive me for not recognizing you before this moment. Because I know it's true. And I don't have to look very far. You're right here. And I feel the energy. And I love it. There's no sadness in me. Only joy. Oh my God. My God is love. Your God is love. You are an extension of that energy. Hallelujah, right? Let's do it again. Ones to the twos. Word, I am word.
Word, I am word.
I know who you are.
I know who you are.
I know what you are.
I know what you are.
I know how you serve.
I know how you serve.
Word, I am word.
Word, I am word.
And now twos to the ones. Take a good deep breath. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. Word, I am word. You feel this, yes? This is an energy of the spacious self. This is the energy of the non-judgmental self. This is the energy of the self of infinite love and acceptance. This is transformation. This is what alchemy is. It's transformation from a small mind of fear and victim consciousness into a mind of grandeur, of fearlessness, invulnerability, and being able to see your brothers and sisters regardless of how they're presenting with a mind of clarity that just simply reminds you, it speaks to you and says, I know who they are. And you don't have to go up to people and say, I know who you are, because, freak them out, right? That's not loving, right? But you can hold that energy and say to yourself, I know who they are. They're just like me.
Well, you can send out the vibration.
You sure can.
Yeah. I mean, when
You're
you
just
see
holding
in the
it.
grocery store or wherever,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can actually just think that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Without saying it.
Right. It's about being aware, okay? And one of the things that we, this word think comes up a lot, right? But one of the things I want to share with you guys is, this is like, if we had all of our stuff back here, that this is like a portal, okay? This is well, a better example is like, everybody knows what a submarine is, everybody knows what a periscope is, right? Mm-hmm. Right? It's like you're in this submarine down here in this victim consciousness world of form, right, of illusion, and you run your periscope up, right, and you're kind of up in this vibration. You're running your periscope up. Here's your little submarine, and then you run your periscope up. And you're just kind of getting a view here, if you will, of heaven. It's just a higher consciousness. And you're doing that by allowing your mind, the thinking mind, to just chill out. The one thing that it cannot defend itself against is you ignoring it. You just ignore thoughts of fear. People are always trying to overcome fear. You don't have to overcome it. All you got to do is just ignore that shit. Because it's a liar. If somebody's lying to you all the time, you're going to give them a lot of your attention? No, you're smart enough to go, well, shit, they lie all the time. Why would I give them any of my attention? Fear is a liar. That's all it ever does is lie. It's trying to convince you that some made-up conscious dream experience or dreamscape is real and that you're vulnerable to it. You could be victimized. No, not in reality. In reality, you are as God created you to be. God guarantees your sinlessness. God guarantees your immortality. You were never mortal. We're just pretending and playing this game of being human. And it's a great game because you never left heaven. All we're doing is now beginning to wake up to the reality of where we always have been. Ideas leave not their source. And you are an idea in the mind of God. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I don't need you to go down a whole tangent, but
Well, I might.
I don't know if it pertains. I'm just curious, are there other games? Like humans are just one game. And you say we've been everywhere and every when. Is there information about?
Well, were you one of the Lemurians here 100,000 years ago? That was a whole different game. What about one of the Pleiadians on the seven-star sister solar system?
I don't know about that.
See, yeah, there are many mansions in my Father's house. We've all heard that, right? Well, you think you've only been human? Maybe you've been that cat hanging out with John. I don't know.
Here, kitty.
John. John. This is a loving place, right? And we'll forgive John for that.
Yeah. I'll be the cat.
So really it's how we express in every moment. We make a choice in every moment. And this is in the Course in Miracles. And the question was, are there other games to play? I don't know. This one keeps me pretty busy, right? But yes, we have been everywhere and ever when. So anything you can imagine can be a reality. Because where's your limitation in dreams? How does a dream limit you? The only limit it places on you is experience of reality itself. It's a made-up reality. But you can do anything you want to in it.
So what about dreams that have messages or things that tell you something that's going to happen? Or do you create it? Like people say, I get my messages in dreams, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the question was, is reality, what about messages in dreams and those, yeah, absolutely. You see, because in a dreaming state, you're much more susceptible to outside influences, right? In the sense that your guides, we all have these guides, non-physical guides, and you don't have to believe anything I'm saying. Find out for yourself. But we have these guides, and we have these angels, and by the way, you're an angel. You're one of the ones that stood in line and said, hell, I'm going to go in there and help my brothers and sisters that are believing that they're imprisoned by some dream of, I got this, I'm standing, I'm going for it. And then you get here and first thing you realize is, oh shit, I'm afraid. But yes, we are much more susceptible to conversation from those on the other side of the veil, if I can put it that way. Those that love. There's nothing but love. And the only place you're ever going to experience anything other than that is in an illusion of dream. And we're all in this together, so we have to kind of deal with other people's ideas of how the dream is and what the dream is and how we should be and shouldn't be. And so all of our consciousness is holding, it's just a vibration. And in that vibration, there's tons of potentials, but if we can shift to a higher consciousness, a higher vibration, guess what you experience up there? A different reality.
So do you believe that things could be going on around us like a lot of bad things, but if our vibration is high enough, it won't
That's right.
us?
That's right.
Is that the deal?
That's exactly the deal. That is shit is going on right now. There is hell going on right now. And other dimensions that you're not a party to. Can you go there? Yeah. Do you want to go there? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there with you. But people really get attracted to that energy, right? And it's only a lack of love. It's not a different energy. We call it evil, you know, and we've even made up this being called Satan, you know, that we can be victimized by that, whatever. That's bullshit. It's just us stepping out of the energy. We've tuned into the wrong damn radio station, right? But we can tune again. We can tune anytime. We can push the button, turn the dial. So when you go to sleep, if you'll think about it this way, when you go to sleep, you're in another dimension. But it's one that you're the primary player, and you get to kind of craft it the way you would like it to work out.
It's kind of what we put our attention on.
It is absolutely what you put your attention on, and John, thank you so much for saying that.
Right.
That's a great point.
I mean, I quit watching the news 24/7. I still watch it maybe 2-3 times a week, but I feel a lot better.
Right.
Yeah.
So turn it off.
Yeah.
Just a word to the wise. Okay, because if I'm going to go swimming around in the toilet, I'm going to bump into a bunch of turds, and it's not. I mean, and I don't need to do that.
No, exactly.
I'd rather go swimming in the ocean, where
The dolphins.
I'm not going to experience that.
Right.
Right? I get to make that choice in every moment. Also, I get to choose my environment. I get to choose, and that's the reason I'm saying this. I get to choose whether or not I go to the horror movie. And if I'm participating in horror movies, I'm adding to the, and then you want to know why we're having, people are killing each other, you know, and then we go home and we tune into horror movies, and all you see on TV is death, death, murder, murder, death, death, murder, murder. And rape and whatever else goes with that shit. If you're in that energy because you're such a powerful creator, I'm not blaming anybody. Don't go home and blame yourself for any of this shit. Go home and turn that shit off. Don't add. Attention, energy flows where attention goes. What are we, as a collective body of spiritual aspirants to awakening, giving our energy to? And it's manifesting as our experience, right? And it's on the soon it becomes on the margin, and it's still out there, and I'm still attracted to it, John, from time to time. But now, if I watch a little movie or sitcom, I just kind of, it's almost comical to me now. And so somebody says, oh, I had a death and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? Because I don't see death like that anymore. I can't, it's really hard for me to cry about something that looks sad and horrible and terrible. And it's really easy for me to cry about love because I can, now I recognize the difference in the energy, and I fall into a space of gratitude. As we were doing that attunement earlier, I just fell into this tremendous energy of gratitude, and I hope you felt it and experienced something in this practice we did tonight, because it's very, very powerful. But it took me a long time to begin to recognize that love isn't something that happens to me, it's a vibration. And it's giving a signal. It's a signal. And I'm the receiver, and I can tune into that vibration. And then I get the words that bring me, that reinforce it and bring the thoughts and the words of love and acceptance and forgiveness. Forgiveness is another big topic, and we don't have time to get in that tonight, but real shortly, it's moving back before you gave. When you put 4 in front of something, right? It's before something happens, right? And so when we say forgiveness, we're moving back before, we're going all the way back before we gave something. What did we give? Judgment. If I can move back before I judge you, if I don't know you, how can I judge you, number one? How can I judge you? I don't really know you. And if I do know you, if I say I know you, I'm putting you through a filter of our past together and placing judgment. I'm giving everything all the meaning that it has. So here now I have the choice in every moment to look at everyone every day in a new way and just simply say, I don't know you. Or a better way of saying it is, I know who you are. Did you feel that energy shift? When you look at somebody and say, I know who you are, in truth, you see, I know you from your past, or I know who you are in truth. I mean, the difference in energy is just palpable. It's the difference in these words have vibrations. So we say, oh, I'm proud of my son. That's a great vibration, absolutely. It's a loving, it's a good deal, right? But a much more powerful thing is to say, I am grateful for my son. I'm grateful for my mom. I'm proud of my children. I'm grateful for my children. They chose me. I didn't have them. I was just fulfilling a contract that I'd already established with them to lay a foundation for their life. They chose me because they saw where I was at the time that they were coming in, and they were aligned in the same vibrational energy, and they felt that their arrangement, contract, and choice of me and my wife as they came into our experience was the best platform that they could have so that they could springboard it into a higher experience of themselves. Because on the other side of the veil, you're not deluded by the illusion. You're not deluded. The sleeping self is not deluding you now because you see it as an illusion. Any experience you had last night in your dreams or any experience you can remember, don't they fade pretty quickly, right, when you wake up? For a few minutes, it seems, oh, you're still kind of in that energy, but as soon as you let go of that energy, you're out of that dimension. You stepped into another experience. Heaven, where's heaven? Right here and now. It's not somewhere out there or in an afterlife or anything like that. It's now. And so what we're being asked to do and what we've joined in to do is to become the embodiment and sustain this energy of love in the experience, in the embodiment of form. Right? And we could call that becoming Christ. We could call that the Christ consciousness. We can give it all kinds of labels and names. But it's just simply being our true self embodied in form and beginning to realize how truly powerful we are in that expression. You want something to eat? There it is. You manifest anything instantaneously. Because what can you do in a dream? Anything, right? So we've covered a lot of ground and we've cracked the door open on a lot of closets that have been closed for a long time. But you're ready for it.
About time to come out of the closet.
About time to come out of the closet. That's exactly right.
Maybe next week, Tony, we could talk about on the other side of the veil, like when we die, and how we made the contract to come back here.
Okay.
Because maybe we do remember our past lives on the other side and say, I was really a schmuckhead and I really got to go back and maybe make up for some of that or something.
Well, now again, would you go back into your dream tonight? Because let's say you were an asshole in your dream last night, John. Not that you would ever be. But would you go back in your dream tonight and try to make up for that?
No. I might.
Because it's a dream, it's a thought, it's like...
But we did, but we made a contract, and we're talking about contracts that come back in this life now. Why did we decide to do what we're doing now?
Okay, well, let me just look at it this way. Okay, this is just a good way for me to look at it, okay? Yeah. When I look at if this is a state of dreaming, and Jesus says in A Course in Miracles, you're always in a state of dreaming, period, period, period.
Right.
If I'm in a state of dreaming, and I can use my small dreaming self at night as an example of this dreaming self to kind of get some contextual, cognization of it, I'm pretty sure that when I get on the other side of the veil, I'm going to go, whoosh, man, that was so crazy. I didn't realize myself at all. Right. Wow. Right. But I was successful here. I was successful in letting go of this idea of victimness here. I withheld judgment on this person over here. I was beginning to wake up. Man, I'm going back in here and I'm going to shed off all the rest of that crap that I didn't, that I was still kind of imprisoning me. I can see that I was so close to letting go of fear. I was so close to letting go of condemnation and judgment and hatred and all that shit that goes with that.
Right. So then
you get back in line with...
no karma.
Not really. It's just an energy, a vibration, right? If I'm in a vibration of a bar and everybody's drunk and people get angry easily and, next thing you know, I'm in a fight. I'm in that energy. I'm in that. So shit can happen. I'm using that word a lot tonight. Apologize you. But, it's one of my favorite words. But so a lot of stuff can happen if I go to a certain place. But if I come to church on Sunday, it's not very likely I'm going to get in a... Well, fights do happen in church, but they're mostly just arguments. not beating each other, and all that kind of stuff, right? We kind of rise above that for the most part. So we set an intention to establish an environment where we can stay in this higher energy, because our body needs to change. Our body is holding us back too. Our history, our if I could use the cellular memory, our DNA memory, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of, we need to let our body rise vibrationally. So as you learn to have some of these experiences and begin to have some of these experiences, ultimately you begin to have more, right? But you got to get to the first grade before you go to the second. You can't go right into quantum physics right out of kindergarten. It's too big a leap.
Does your body start healing?
Absolutely, your body starts healing, and your body slows down. It's not aging as much. I had a young man today tell me that he thought I was, oh, you're probably in your mid-50s, right? And I'm like, yeah. He missed it, right? But I don't even talk about age anymore, because that's not important. See, if we believe that we age, then we are experiencing what we believe. The world is out picturing, and we're experiencing exactly what we've made commitment to as truth, right? So yes, good question and good point. We actually begin to slow down the aging process. We begin to let go of things which is really grievances and vengeance and hatred that we've held on to. We've got these blockages in our body, and it really, it's a great discussion we'll have one night. We'll talk about rejection and ejection, okay? Rejection, we hold in, and it causes sickness and illness. And ejection is where we outpicture it and we put it on somebody else, right? And that's the judgment, the hatred part. And all that energy is just, working in our body and working in our life. So as we begin to forgive, move back before judgment, seeing the innocence of the person in front of us, I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. We start greeting people with this energy. Now you're moving back, you began to truly experience their innocence.
So it's kind of like namaste.
Kind of like namaste, or kind of like Jay said on the, forgive them. They know not what they do. If you are deluded, when my daughter was afraid of her slipper, she thought it was a monster because the lights were out.
Right.
I didn't judge her for her misperception. I simply turned the light on, and then she could see for herself that that's bullshit. Right? That's what awakening is. It's not you figuring it out. It's you shutting up. Oh. It's you not listening to your own thoughts. Oh. It's about you being quiet more often and just being aware and realizing you don't have to figure anything out. You just have to be aware and ask this inner self, this inner voice, this higher self, because it is you. It is the bigger you that's not asleep. And you begin to turn to this self and say, are you there? I love to ask that question many, 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 many times every day. And the answer comes before I even get a chance to ask the question now, which is, of course, yes. Because you can't ever be alone. So you can completely forget the idea of having private thoughts. Oh, you mean all my thoughts are known? Yeah. And there is no judgment in spirit. You're judging. We're judging. I'm judging in the physical form, but in the form, in spirit, on the other side of the veil, John, as you say, there's no judgment. Forgive them. They know not what they do because they're having a dream, and dreams have no effect. See, we start going back to these very few principles that we talked about, right? And we'll get to cover some more over time. We'll start peppering in just these little sayings that that begin to inform us. And when we see some shit going on out there, some chaos, some anger, whatever it is, we ask the question, "Are you there?" And we let the higher self come in and say, "Help me see who this person really is, regardless of how they're expressing." Let me withhold judgment, or let me come back from my former giving of judgment and ask for the truth. What is the truth here? That's the question. And let your higher self begin to inform you. It's there. And ultimately, you can have a full-on connection, and it completely wipes out the whole idea and ultimately the experience of separation. All you'll know is unity. All you know is communion. All you know is love. Because you begin to meld into the higher self. And joy, down here in our lower level vibration, we experience joy about maybe 25% of the time. We go to the next level, we're experiencing joy about 55% of the time. We go to the next level, we're experiencing joy over 75% of the time. You get up here, you're experiencing joy 98, 99% of the time. You're just blissed out. I had one experience where I was blissed out for 3 or 4 days. I couldn't even talk to anybody. Except blue, blue. All I could do was cry and laugh and cry and laugh. And my wife now, she was with me then as my girlfriend, she would ask me a question, and the question was still, I was still being informed by this mind, and the question was so absurd, all I could do was laugh. And then because I was getting the download of that knowing, then I would just burst into crying out of gratitude. And so I couldn't hardly eat for 2 or 3 days. I mean, well, I don't want to do that. Yes, you do. It's a blast. It's amazing to know yourself in that way because it's coming face to face with the voice of certainty, and the face that you're seeing is your face. Do you need to worship yourself? I don't think so. Because the face you're going to recognize when you see God is your face. Because that's what you are. You and God are one. We move to pure non-duality. How much time do we have? Oh, we've got a few more minutes, just maybe 5 or 6. So, what comes up for you tonight? Questions? Anybody?
What do we stand to gain from all this?
Love.
Do we not have that anyway?
You have it. But if you think you don't, that's what you have to gain. If you can look at everybody with the same clarity that our brother Jesus did, then everybody's going to be, trying to figure out how the hell did you get what you got? Because people are just going to want to be in your energy, just be in your space, because you become the embodiment and are the embodiment of love. This is an energy. It's like a loudspeaker, and it's like, brah, right? It's like people, you drive down the street and you can hear their subwoofers going a mile away. That becomes you, except it's not a subwoofer. It's this beautiful melody of love. It's a vibration. And so you become aligned with that vibration. Good question. But that's the end game, right? And then once you've overcome all your fear, there's no fear. You see, you become certainty itself. You become principle itself. There's no fear left in your experience. Then there's nothing for you to come back to this for. Then you begin to be part of the rah-rah team that's supporting everyone else in their journey, right? You become the guide. You become the lover of your brothers and sisters.
You become happy.
You are happiness itself. Your function, as Jesus says in the Course of Miracles, happiness is your function.
Right.
It is what you are. That's why I'm saying you're experiencing joy 99% of the time. You're blissed out. And a lot of those who have, yes, a lot of people have attained that energy, and they've chosen to just kind of disappear, so to speak, or not be reincarnated. But now, masters who have attained that energy in our historical past are coming back in droves now, because we're in a transformation, an energy transformation right now in our planet that's unprecedented and has never happened before. And that's why you're seeing more and more people that are beginning to align, even just with the simple idea of forgiveness and love. Let's just get away from this idea of war. We don't need war, right? It's all bullshit. And we begin now to see, we can see. And the internet's helping us. The communication system that we have established is helping us to get connected with our brothers and sisters around the world and to see what they're dealing with, because we've allowed people, they have allowed, right? And you put people in place in government. I heard a person talking on the radio this week about, we created governments to help ourselves. No, we created governments to avoid the fear we felt for our neighbors. We use governments to protect ourselves from each other. That's what we put them there for. And we don't need that shit anymore. And it's happening, and you're a part of it. And so that's another big part of this, is as you start to understand this, and you raise in your consciousness, you're affecting people that you'll never even see, because you become the vibration. You're holding a consciousness, an energy level, a field of love. It's a real deal. It's a real deal.
Well, it's kind of like what you said, like the law of attraction. You don't have to fear getting sick again if you don't think about it. And you don't have to fear about getting robbed if you're not thinking about it.
That's right. But if you are thinking about it, you just came into that energy field, and the stuff that happens in that energy field is where you're putting yourself in that dimension.
Yeah.
So that's why if you are watching the news, because
like, did you hear? Then it's like, oh my God, what? This is going, it feels like, you know,
Right.
it gets all over you. And
Right.
it's just sort of like,
But the news is almost always presented as negative. Yes? But we don't know. We don't know that. You see, 9/11 was this horrible thing, but energetically, it was an energy that has shifted our consciousness. And so I look at our brothers and sisters that knew contractually that that was going to be their expression in that life. In other words, again, there are no victims. You came into this experience with not predestined because you are free. You're in the dimension of free will, so you can change your mind tonight if you're going to go left or right when you leave the parking lot. But you came here with an idea and an anticipation that you would overcome some of the obstacles to the awareness of the presence of love as a physical human being. And you kind of set it up, and we agreed, you and I agreed to be in this contract together. And we have been, and we are, and the people in your life are. And it's happening, right? It's absolutely happening. So if we turn off the negative, we can begin to see, you know, Reverend Claudia shared something recently about, you know, the story where this guy lost his horse, you know, or something, and then this horse came in, and his neighbors, oh, that's terrible. And he's like, maybe, right? And so then the horse shows up, and another horse, some wild horses show up or something, and the neighbors came, oh, isn't this great? And he said, well, maybe. And his son got on there, and he starts, you know, trying to break the horses, and his son broke his own leg, right? And so the neighbors go, oh, how terrible. And the wise man said, well, maybe. And the next day, the government came in, and they were what do they call it, when they consigning all the young men into the army, and they didn't take his son because he had a broken leg. And the neighbors came over, oh, that's how great that is. And he said, well, maybe. Right? See, we're giving everything all the meaning it has. The practice is to step away from judgment, step away from the idea that something's bad, because we don't know. The ego wants to say, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. And I'm here to tell you, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. We don't know. The ego is like a little toy. It's very stupid. I'm sorry, I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying the ego's stupid. It has no concept of reality, but your higher self knows exactly everything. Everything as truth and what really is true. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight and giving me a chance to. This is how I learn. How I learn is through communicating this. And I never know what's coming and what's not coming. I just appreciate the opportunity to express, and thank you so much for hanging out tonight and showing up. And I will tell you that there's a lot more, there's a lot more, there's a lot more. And so as we journey together over the next 10 or 20 years, we're going to get into some really crazy shit, but it's because we have to get past some of these first obstacles to the truth, because we have made such a commitment to our own ideas of what reality is. So we're just playing along here, having some fun, talking about some things, but I hope you'll take away a couple of things tonight. Number one, thoughts are things. So watch your thoughts. Don't hold yourself guilty if you have a thought that's negative. Just simply say, I'm not going to give that thought any more power. And don't forget to turn within and ask your high self, your true self, who you really are. Say, are you there? What's the real truth here? And allow the expression of the practice that we shared tonight to begin to inform how you see other people. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. You're my brother. You're my sister. Word, I am the energy of the Creator in action. Word, I am word. Through my intention to love my brothers and sisters. Word, I am word. Through my intention to participate and withhold judgment when I see something that's going on out in the world. Word, I am word. Through my intention to withhold meaning and giving definition to things and saying this is good or this is bad. I'm just going to be the vibration of love here. And if I can help someone, show me how to be that expression of love. In other words, keep asking your best friend, your guide, your comforter. That's capital F friend, capital G guide, capital C comforter, capital T teacher, which is you, your higher self. Allow that to become part of your experience and to inform you that in every choice that we make through the day, love is one of those choices we make. Or we can either act out of fear or act out of love. When we act out of fear, we come down, and when we act out of love, we rise. So that's it. So again, thanks so much for coming. Let's all take a good deep breath. I want to say thank you for everyone who's participated in holding this high space of energy tonight. It's truly my honor, my blessing to be in your space, because you're such a powerful creator and you're changing my world. And I know you're changing the world of those around you. And they are blessed, as I am, that you're pursuing this pathway of awakening and making a dedication in your own particular way, which is perfect for you, to fulfill your quest, to answer your questions, to step beyond fear, and to begin to move into a dimension of love and acceptance, to experience more and more joy in your life, more and more health in your life, less and less aging, and substantially more fun. So as we leave, we simply make a commitment to remember who our brothers and sisters are. Remember who they are and what they are and how they serve as we go forth next week. Thank you all for being here. God bless.
Hallelujah.
Thanks.